Hello, my name is Rhea Batuto, and today we are going to talk about language teaching. Does it help? When language teaching helps and when language teaching does not help. But before we start, these are our objectives for today. At the end of the discussion, students can understand and analyze theories of language teaching. Identify when language teaching helps. Identify when language teaching does not help. Students will understand the importance of language teaching. Dan 1994 quoted on Fromkin and Rodman states, "The capacity to learn is deeply ingrained in us as species, just as the capacity to walk, grasp objects, and recognize faces." We do not find any serious differences in children growing up in congested urban slums, isolated mountain villages, or in privileged suburban villas. So what do you mean by that? So Dan 1994 is saying that the ability to learn language is natural to all humans, just like walking, holding things, or knowing faces. Diba, it's natural for a person to learn how to walk. It's natural for a person to hold things, and it's natural for a person to recognize faces. So just like you can recognize the face of your mother. You can recognize the face of your father. You can recognize the faces of your friends and the faces of your enemies. So no matter where the children grew up, whether in a crowded city, a faraway mountain place, or a rich neighborhood, even if naanak ka man sa Luzon, sa Visayas, or sa Mindanao, or nagdaho ka man sa America, sa Africa, sa Europe, or sa Asia, we all have the same ability to learn language. So in short, all children have the power to learn language, no matter their background or environment. And now let's talk about language teaching or teaching language. So when we say teaching language or language teaching, it means guiding students so that they can understand, speak, read, and write in a language. So it is done by giving lessons, doing activities, and practicing with others. So ang pag-teach sang language kay makatabang sa mga tao so that they can use language in real-life situations. So what are those real-life situations na mogamit kitay language? Of course, communication, right? We use language to communicate. We use language to socialize. We use language to connect with other people that surround us. And also, language is a tool. Language is an instrument because no man is an island. Every man is a piece of a continent, a part of a main. So we use language in our everyday life. And now, let's talk about comprehensible input. So when you say comprehensible input, it means these are language that learners can understand even though they don't know every single word. So a teacher make it easier for them to understand by using pictures, gestures, or simple real-life examples. So, in short, when we say comprehensible input, it is the idea that learners can guess the meaning of the word even though they don't have any vocabulary or grammar. And now, let's talk about when language teaching helps. Well, diba, language teaching helps, of course, gayod, especially kung ang students or ang saka learner aray sakto na guidance, tag practice, tag support from a teacher to make them learn faster and easier. And now, let's talk about language teaching helps. So the first one. So when language teaching helps. So for beginners with little exposure to the target language. So makatabang ang pagtudlo sang language, especially for beginners. So mga beginners, they often don't know any words or rules in the new language. So teaching gives them a starting point. So without teaching, they may get lost. Among importante ang pagtudlo sa ila. So for example, usa ka grade 1 students sa China who only speaks Mandarin learns simple words in English like cat, dog, motto, father. So simple lang alay until later on maka-learn na siya yung mga different words until later on kay maka-form na siya complex sentences. So simple lang anay, pero later on damo na siya maintiguhan. So that's it. And the second one is for foreign language learners, no chance to hear the language outside the class. So, makatabang ang pagtudlo sang language, especially for some students na nagpuyo sa lugar where people don't speak the language they are studying. So, they want to hear it daily, so the class time is the best chance for them to practice. So, for example, usa ka Filipino students here in the Philippines kay nag-learn sang Nihongo or Japanese language. So, since you know naman diba that most of us Filipinos, we don't speak Nihongo, we don't speak Japanese language. So, iya mama di man tigtabi sang Nihongo, iya papa di man tigtabi sang Nihongo. So, the class time is one of the place or the best place for him to practice. So, language teaching helps because the teacher becomes the main source of input. And now, the third one is provide structured learning, grammar, vocabulary, and skills. You know, without teaching, ang mga learners kay they can learn random words but not in the proper order. So, you know, teacher makes learning organized, starting with the easiest things and moving to the harder ones. So, kung sara nag-learn sila yung mga verbs, and later on mag-learn na sila yung mga tenses like the present tense, the past tense, and the future tense like I go to school, I went to school, and I will go to school. So, learning is a step-by-step process. And now, the fourth one is create a low anxiety environment that encourage participation. You know, many are shy or scared to make mistakes. So, teachers can create a supportive and enjoyable learning environment para ma-feel sang student na they are safe to try. Because when anxiety is low, students learn faster. And now, number 5, offers feedback and correction from teachers. So, language teaching help kung ang teacher maghatag sang correction, tag feedback sa mga students, like amoy ning mga butang na dapat baguhon, mga butang na ipadayon, mga butang na dili na ipadayon. So, there is a communication between a student and a teacher about kung nanong mga sayop, tag nano ang mga sakto. So, language teaching helps if a teacher gives correction and feedback para ang mga students kay ma-improve nilang ila skills tag for them not to repeat errors. So now, we're done with when language teaching helps, and now let's proceed to when language teaching does not help. So the first one is when learners already have rich exposure outside class, immersion, community, and media. So, language teaching does not help if a student lives in a place where the target language is spoken daily. So, they might hear faster by listening, talking, and interacting with others rather than just sitting in class. So, for example, kay usa ka Filipino students na nagpuyo sa United States of America, kay maka-learn sang English through interacting with other people nara siya palibot. So, especially kung ang usa ka tawo kay from a multilingual family na nag-speak sang different languages. So, damo na siya nahibaw-an na language. Pero, still, inidya po natin ang school or ang pagtudlo sa eskwelahan. It's because ang school kay nag-teach sa aton kung nano ang mga butang na gamiton, especially in a formal way of communication or informal way, diba? Sa eskwelahan nakaibaw kita kung nano ang mga words na gamiton sa research. So that's it. So that is why still school or language teaching in school is important yapon. So number 2, overemphasize on grammar rules without real communication practice. So, language teaching does not help kung ang learning style kay mag-focus lang sa grammar rules pero ang mga learners kay way chance na mutabi or to use the language in a real communication practice. So, for example, kay usa ka student kay makasuwat siya sang sentence na I go to school pero dili maka-answer kung pangutanon sang where did you go? How are you? So, importante na dili lang mag-focus sa grammar kundili dapat ang mga students or ang mga learner kay aralat sila sang real communication practice in a real life situation. Number 3. If learners are not motivated or feel anxious. So, if ang usa ka learner kay they are shy or pressured or don't see the importance of learning, then teaching won't be effective. So, for example, kayong sa ka-learner kay baw siya sang answer, pero since mahadlok siya na basi katawan siya, kay basi wrong grammar siya, so instead na mutabi siya, di na lang siya mo answer. It's because mahadlok siya na katawan siya. So, importante na as teacher, we should create a friendly and effective learning environment para ma-feel sa mga student na they are safe to try, because just like I said earlier, when anxiety is low, students learn faster. Number 4. When teaching uses rote memorization instead of meaningful interaction. So, just memorizing lots of words without using them in a real context or real life situations doesn't help learning. So for example, kay ang mga learners kay nag-memorize sila 20 names of animals pero dili maka-answer kung pangutan sang do you have a dog? Do you have a cat? So, importante na dili lang mag-memorize kundi isatunat kayo dang context tag-aray real communication practice para ma-enhance ang iyong speaking skills. And now, number 5. So, when students rely on a class and don't practice outside class. So, language teaching does not help kung ang usa ka students or ang usa ka learner kay magsalid lang sa classroom pero dili mag-practice outside the classroom. You know, ang pag-learn sang language kay kailangan at siya i-practice outside the classroom. So, for example, usa ka student kay nag-learn sang English pero never try to speak it with friends will struggle to improve speaking skills. So, if a learner only studying lesson but never try to use it daily, then progress will be slow. So, importante na you learn language and at the same time, you use them. Conclusion. Language teaching helps most when it provides the main source of comprehensible input and support for beginners. It is less effective when learners already have rich real-life exposure or when teaching focuses only on rules. Best results come from combining classroom learning with real-world practice. In short, in our conclusion, language teaching helps when it supports real communication and practice, but fails if it's only memorization, rules, and without learner effort. So that's all. Thank you.